The man being held in connection with the killings is believed to be Ali Harbi Ali, but police haven't yet formally named him. The police are conducting searches outside 3 addresses believed to be linked to their investigations. Now, his father is a former advisor to the Prime Minister of Somalia. He's believed to live in a council-owned flat on a street in North London in an area popular with celebrities and politicians, where properties can sell for around $3 million. Police originally detained him after the attack on suspicion of murder. He, in fact, waited there for them after he had carried out the stabbing, but he's now being held for questioning under the Terrorism Act of 2000, which means they have extra time and can detain him until Friday for further questioning. And he has been moved from the police station he was originally in Essex to a more secure police station in London. He's not known to have been on any databases of security services, and he's apparently was referred previously in the past to the Prevent scheme, which is a voluntary scheme meant to help people who may be influenced by extremist material. We don't have a lot more detail about who he may have been speaking to in the run-up to this attack, or exactly how he carried out the attack in the days leading up to it, or in fact why, though Islamic extremism is believed to be part of the working theory at the moment.
And Jonathan, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think one of the reasons people are shocked by this, and maybe by the security measures or lack of, which was that this was a stabbing attack. The assailant used a knife and stabbed him, I believe, some 5 times. And that surely is raising questions about the personal protection of these lawmakers.
It's very interesting because there's been a lot of discussion about these constituency meetings. MPs in the United Kingdom represent a specific constituency, a geographical area, and that means that they're answerable to the electorate in that area who put them there. And that's a fundamental part of British democracy, is that the members of the public who voted, or in fact didn't even vote for that MP in that area, have a right and an ability to go and speak to them. Every Friday they hold these constituency surgeries, and the level of security in those is startlingly low. These are ordinary members of parliament, not members of the cabinet, and they therefore don't have the close police protection that's given to, say, cabinet members. That means that this sort of thing can happen, and happen it does, because it's only about 5 years since this happened tragically to Labour MP Joe Cox, who was also stabbed in similar circumstances. That's why there's a lot of discussion now, and why there are some promises from Priti Patel, the Home Secretary, about how they can improve the security for these ordinary members of Parliament going about this very important parliamentary business. And former Prime Minister Gordon Brown has spoken out today saying that the reaction to this attack on democracy can't be less democracy, by which he means that they can't stop these face-to-face meetings. They're a very important part of the British democratic system. So instead, they may now be putting in place security measures like metal detector gates, so that you would pick up items like knives on the way in, maybe even other screening, and possibly even police protection for those MPs on those days. But that would be a massive drain on resources with 650 MPs.
Right, but though you would think local police might be able to help out in that circumstance. Now, you mentioned the suspect and concern he might have been a figure of interest. That always raises the question when these things happen about the tracking of potential terror threats or individuals in the UK, and I wonder if those questions now being raised there in this case.
After attacks like this, those questions are always raised, and rightly so, because the police and security services want to learn from every, let's say, failure of security that stops these things from happening. In this case, so far, it seems to be the suggestion that the suspect wasn't working as part of a bigger cell, a bigger group, and those are always the harder ones to identify in advance, because they don't necessarily have the communication between themselves and someone higher up telling them how and what to do. That means that these can be people who really watch material online from the privacy of their own homes and educate themselves into how to carry out such an attack, perhaps booking the appointment as well, though it has been suggested he didn't even have an appointment with Sir David Amess at this constituency surgery. The police will be raking through his online profiles, his computer use, through these 3 properties they've been seen outside during the investigations, which are now in their 2nd full day. All of this will be an attempt to try to put together the puzzle of what happened leading up to this event, so that they can learn in the future, and also find out if there were failings, whether they could possibly have caught this attack before it happened.
And briefly, Jonathan, any speculation on why David Amess? You mentioned he wasn't a minister. He doesn't appear to have been the local MP of the assailant. Why would he have been targeted by an Islamic extremist?
So again, it's all speculation, but David Amess has been mentioned, a member of the Conservative Friends of Israel, and one extremist preacher has already said that association might have made him a target. He also was somebody that was in the Conservative Party, the party of government, for some years. So anybody with anger about the Conservative Party's policies, whether foreign or domestic, may have wanted to attack him for those if they are of that extremist background. Number of reasons, but as yet all speculation, no firm indication. Also, of course, he was a practicing Catholic. So again, if there is a religious inspiration for this attack, that may have played a part.
All right, but hopefully there'll be some answers forthcoming in the coming days as we learn more about the suspect and its motives. Jonathan Sacerdoti in London, thank you for joining us on The Rundown.